Good afternoon. Today's video is called Don't Let the Past Prevent Your Future. Now, this is not only applicable to the people I'm working with at the moment in my affiliate program, but really anybody that's in the home-based business. Because I've been in this industry for 45 years and I've suffered with this problem myself, and I've seen so many other people do. They allow the past, which they think are failures, to prevent them moving on because, oh, do you remember when? Yeah, but that happened. Oh, but this happened. You can't live in those sort of times anymore. I think it's time to draw a line under it and to move on, because living in the past when it comes to making money is the most damaging thing you could possibly do to yourself. And it really is about yourself. They say it's about self-preservation. Well, the thing is that we can't do anything about our past, but we can do something about our future. And often we'll go through an experience that doesn't have the kind of outcome that you were hoping for or expecting. In other words, instead of making money, you may have got into debt. You've lost a couple of hundred, or you put something on your credit card and it hasn't worked out. And then you think, oh, complete failure. So you tell yourself that you always make terrible mistakes, and why do I keep making these bad decisions? Making money never works for me. Does that sound familiar? We've all said it, by the way. We've all said it. And here we are back fighting again another day. And so we should. And then you get the critics, don't you? Who are the critics? Your family and your fake friends. Why do I say fake friends? Because real friends wouldn't criticize you. They would say, hey, tough love, it happens in business. Let's hope it doesn't happen next time. So they're what I call the fake friends, and I told you so, and they love to give their wisdom, don't they? A little bit of wisdom on it, and you should know. You should have known better. Have you heard that one? Oh, shame on you for taking money off all those people and it didn't work out. Okay, I've heard that one as well. So the other one I love, especially from my family, bless them. How much money do you need to lose? Blah blah blah. So, I'm sure you've heard many more. But if you listen to them, that will only do one thing, won't it? One thing. It'll hold you back. You can't let the start stop you. It's time to get started again for lots of people. But it's a little bit like a ship's anchor. When these bad things happen to us, and they do, companies let us down, people let us down, it's like throwing a large anchor over the side of our boat, and it hits the bottom, and we can't move. And it's so heavy, we can't even pull it back up again. So what do? We sit there, just looking around, wondering what to happen, waiting for someone to come and save us. Well, newsflash, nobody's coming to save us. It's up to us. So don't throw the anchor. So, that stops you from becoming the person you want to become. And that has nothing to do with money. Most people get into business because they want to become more. They want to do more, but they want to become more. Jim Rohn always taught me that. It's not the money, it's the person you become that makes you valuable. That's what people are attracted to. So, you want to become that person, but you're going where at the moment? If you're stuck in that trap of, well, I'm not going to go and do this because, do you remember what happened last time? Well, I would do this, but is the same thing going to happen to me as it did last time? You are continually living in the past. But Jim Rohn, my mentor, taught me one major thing. He said, it's not what happens to you that makes a difference in how your life works out, because what happens, happens. It's what you do about it. Are we going to have a pity party, or are we going to get up and say, well, let's do something about this? Because, I'm going to do a shortcut here. I could probably cover, honestly, loads of things I could cover about what I believe are the failures with all these things. But I believe it's this answer. I do believe, I have a shortcut for you on that. So let's look at some of the companies that many of us have been involved in. You'll see some names now too quickly. And you think, oh, I forgot about that company, because I did. But I'm talking about just the last 10 years alone. Companies like That Free Thing. My friend Andy Bordy will remember that. We were in My Free Thing, and you filled these things in. You got things free in the post, and you can sign people up for free, and they do that. It was really centered around impulse buying. So if you use something once, you might buy it again. Didn't last very long. Other companies, Life Force International, nutritional company, Shopping Sherlock, remember that? My Shopping Genie, Ulysses Global. Enrich International, another nutritional company. Wowie video emails online and meetings. I use Wowie. I used to love that. It used to enhance your videos that you could make. Gone. Maps, another thing called My Advertising Paid. People know as Maps, closed down. Traffic Monsoon, paid out quite well, but then closed down. Monavie sold a fruit juice, before they went into foreclosure. Another one here, Essentially Yours Industries, based in Canada. Well, I know that very well because I've been a corporate member in networking as well as an ordinary affiliate member, or a networker. Now, I was the UK's appointed sales and marketing manager for Essentially Yours Industries, and it was a nutrition and a weight loss product company. It was very good, but unfortunately, they had their own agenda. They wanted to pull out of the UK and Europe, so they used nice people like me to help sell their products, and we did. But a lot of people lost out of that because they were on very good incomes, but that one went. Another one, Andy and I will remember, another two actually, World Ventures Travel Company. Nice company, World Ventures. Paycation, another one. Empower Network, another one. It sounds awful, doesn't it? How many have we been in? Quite a lot, probably too many, but you don't know. You move on to different things. Empower Network, I quite like that one. And then what comes along? On Passive. And in 8 years, did they deliver the products or the income that they promised? No, they didn't. I wasted 4 years in it, 2 years on the Leadership Council, arguing with their CEO. Are you going to deliver some products, please? Can we have some money, please? The CEO gets fined by the SEC, 44 million. It's documented. That happened last year, but that was only what he took from America. It's not what he took from the rest of the world. So the 108 million that he took, he gets to keep. Now that closed down, so he changed the name. It's now called Rise with Ash. Now, why anybody would want to continue with that CEO, that person, is beyond me, but some do. Is it going to pay out? Of course not. Of course it isn't. And then there's co-op business. I was involved in that. Do they deliver products and income? No. So what did I do? I did the same as I did in On Passive. I walked away from it. Sometimes you've got to be big enough to walk away from companies you feel are not going to deliver. Walked away. There's another company out there called Visalis. I didn't do it. Skincare. New Ways International. Do you remember that one? That was quite a nice company. Nutrition. Carrot Bars International. They did little gold bars. Lioness Home Shopping. American Freeway 100. I was in that one. I can't remember what they did, but it was quite a nice company. Another one called Clickly. People got paid for clicking and buying packages. That closed down. Traffic Authority, lead system company, that closed down. Cash FX, people got paid good money in that, and then that closed down. A while ago, I was involved in a drinks hydration business called True Hydration. I loved it. Some of you were with me in it. It was a lovely business, and we even went to one of their events and met the CEO, and he seemed a nice guy. But he felt that the UK and Europe wasn't doing enough business. What did he do? He left. Well, was that your fault? No. Was it my fault? No. We were moving the product. And then we come across other things like Des Alps. Have they delivered the products and income? No. It was in the making for 7 years. 18, 20 months later now, Des Alps closed down or got shut down in January of this year, and by the government in Canada, so they're not allowed to operate in Canada. That's why their head office is now in a satellite office in Dubai. That doesn't sound good, does it? So they renamed it Grace Community. Are they still delivering any products? Well, they've got tea. They've got two cartons of tea at $55 and $60. They had water, but nobody talks about that, so I think that's off the table. But it's all promises. But, some people made some money out of it. Did the rest of us? No. Will it ever pay? Who knows? In my opinion, I don't think they will. But if I look back at when I started back in 1980 with Amway, I was a bus driver at the time, and then in 84 I went into Herbalife. Now, what did they teach us, those two companies? And some of you guys I know were there too. What did they teach us? They said you need to sell or use the product, and you need to either invite, enroll, or recruit others to do the same. And they're both still in business today. One does 12 billion a year turnover, Amway, and Herbalife's around about that 8 billion a year turnover. And yet, in reality, we could say they never lied to us. Well, does that mean the other companies lied to us? Well, maybe. Maybe they didn't tell us the whole truth. I don't know. But it's weird that we're looking at those things, those companies, and all the ones since never seem to deliver, except for the good old days. We call it the good old days. I don't know anyone who can tell me that, they think that Amway and Herbalife was a scam and they lost money, because they didn't. They worked the system, and it was a good system, and it still is. So you may have been in some of the above companies. I know I have. How much did you really lose? On average, people lost about £200, $200. That's the entry level, and some time. Now, the reality is, if you want to live in the past and worry about that £200, if you own a car yourself, on average, you will lose £800 to £1,200, $1,500 a year in depreciation on that car. Now, are your family and your fake friends giving you any grief on that? No. You're losing $1,000 and $1,500 every year, and you never blink an eye. Why? Because you like the car, you use the car. I've got to get to work. I've got to have a car to get to work to earn money, so I can pay for the car if it's all finance. So it's crazy. So we worry about the money we lose in a business opportunity, and we don't always think about the money we're losing in our properties and our cars and everything else. So maybe, just maybe, we weren't told the whole truth. With some of these companies, join and do nothing. We all fell for that, didn't we? I fell for it as well, because the way it was laid out and planned, that's how it looked. But at the end of the day, if nothing is sold or bought, there's no money. Where's the money? You've got to. People say, "Oh, I hate sales." Really? Well, if the sales force stops around the world, nothing would move. You wouldn't move. You'd be sitting at home under a blanket. There's nothing wrong with sales. There's nothing wrong with selling. It's been going for centuries and centuries. So, living in the past is about what didn't work for people. The whole thing about living in the past and what didn't work for you isn't going to give you what you want now, which is really a stress-free and a peaceful future. I hope you do anyway. So I think personally it's time to draw a line under all this and forgive yourself. That was something I couldn't come to terms with. You forgive yourself, because I had a guilt trip. Some of the businesses I've been with, we built large teams. I'm more annoyed that the people I brought in, that you haven't made money, because I know how badly you wanted it. Of course I wanted it badly, but I know how badly you wanted it, and it didn't deliver. But we've got to forgive ourselves, because we're not in charge of those companies. They are. And why do they have this agenda of not delivering and not paying? I don't know. I don't know why they have that. So, we've got to forgive ourselves because for making mistakes, because we all make them, okay? But we've got to move on. So you don't need anyone's approval to do my quiet solution. If you're working with me, you don't need anyone's approval, only your own. It's your decision. Do I do this? Do I not? Draw a line under everything. We can't do anything about that, but we can do something about this. Moving forward, there's a reason that rear view mirror is so small in your car. It's because you're not going back there. You just need to have a little glimpse. Have a little glimpse of the past and learn from it. If we haven't learned, we've learned, haven't we? Why is the windscreen so big? So we can see everything, okay? We know where we're going. So what do you have in your hands now, really, is what I'm trying to say. Where are you now? What have you got? What you have got is something that I call my quiet solution. It's a simple affiliate program. It's under £100, $129, one time only. And it's been going since 2018, so it's secure. And the company have never changed their income plan. They've never messed with it. They've actually lowered the entry level. But the bit they lowered was their admin fee from $49 to $29. So we still get $100 each time somebody enrolls with us, and it's great. It's good. It's good money. It's real money. It's honest money. And that company, copy and paste ads, is constant and it's reliable. And what is it? It's people say, yeah, but what is it? It's a SaaS product. Well, what does SaaS mean? It means software as a service. We are selling a software package which really teaches novices and people that want to work from home how to work from home. It's very, very good. Now, if the owner goes sick or decides to take a 6-month vacation, our income and our business doesn't stop, because the system is automated. That's how you want it. It needs to be automated. So, we're always going to have our income. That's going to happen. One a day, one a week, one a month, whatever you want from it, you can have from it. Instant $100 payments. Now that's quite nice. That's £75 in the UK every time one of those comes in. So besides all the training and the tools inside the back office of copy and paste ads, so there's lots now. And Donald, the owner, said on one of his trainings on Thursday night, he's going to add more to it. They're always refining and adding more to it, but they never put the price up. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So you now have that, you have all those tools, but what you also have is the new private school community that I've created and launched last week, where I have put a ton of tools inside there to enhance the chances of you becoming successful so that you never lose again. There's no reason. You only need one person in this business to recoup your outlay. One person is, I'm even, I'm free. Which is great. So you can see you can make some proper money here. As I said on previous videos, I thought I was going to earn, my plan was to earn, as I'm a pensioner, do it part-time, come back into this, because I joined this in 2019, as some of you know, and I keep getting distracted with these other businesses that don't deliver products and don't deliver income. And you're thinking, not again. You sold me a great story. Yeah, and I bought it. I bought it, and I said, never again. So I've come back into copy and paste ads, or as I call it, my quiet solution, because I can sit here at my desk where I am now, I can do it all quietly, and it's always going to be a financial solution for me, which is great. It always works every time I come back to it, always without fail. If I do the work, like we did back in the early days with Amway and Herbalife, they taught us to work. And we've kind of become a lazy society where we believe in these things that you can just come in and join and pay a fee and do nothing. Well, it doesn't work that way. Even investments don't work that way. Look at the people buying stocks and shares and trading and everything else. And they've got these special coins for this, that, and the other. Who's actually making any money on that? They're not. I like this business because you are in control of it, so it's down to you what you get out. What you get out, something's going to come back. And, you don't have to press that button, the approve button in your back office to release the money-making website for the new prospect that said, this looks really good, I want to do this. But you don't press that button to release that money-making website until they've paid you $100 into whatever system you're going to offer them. So it's really good. It's really simple, and it works. That's the whole thing. Now, it's time, as I said, for a lot of us to stop living in the past, and forget those companies, even forget the names. I mean, I get agitated even thinking about those company names. And people say, God, it angers you. Of course it does, because I put a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of friends into them. And sometimes, in my case, a lot of money into it. I've paid for other people, which is something I don't do here. If somebody wants this bad enough like I do, they'll find the money. It's less than £100. It's not a fortune, but it's time for us to stop living in the past. We can't do anything about that, but we can do something about tomorrow, this week, this month, and our futures. With this business, you don't have to talk to anyone. You don't have to. But it will take longer for you to have the success that I'd like to see you have. You can just use what the information is in the company back office. You can copy the ads, they make the ads for you. You can post them to the sites that they give you, and you can wait. And you can do lots of them. Now, that's good. It will work, but it will take you longer. But there's nothing wrong with talking to people. You will learn faster if you talk to people. And people say, well, yeah, how do you talk to people? Well, you're going to get in a conversation. And someone says to you, what do you do? I'll tell you how I answer it. And some of you know this, and it's a laugh. I said, I'm in show business. Oh, really? What kind? I show people my business. Oh, really? That's all we want to do. We want to show you our business. We've got a simple video that I've made. It's not that long. It's 23 minutes. But I cover everything about why you want to look at this and what it can do for you, showing you proof. I wanted my first month to be something like $500 extra, an extra £100 a week, $400. I thought that'd be great. Will I do that in my first 4 weeks back? I don't know, but it was a realistic expectation. But it wasn't. It was 900. And then it went up, and at the moment it's 2,000. And that's part time since I've been back, and I don't work every day, and I don't want to work weekends. Do you? No, of course not. So talk to people out there. There's people like you and me. Some of them are still living in the past. They're still saying, yeah, but I lost money with that company. But don't you realise that company's not there anymore? Yeah, I know. Well, then move on from it. Why are you still talking about it? The scammers will always scam, won't they? They're still out there. But come into this business, come into My Quiet Solution, and see if you. I think you're going to like it for the new people, because you will. And then come into our school. I built a school community, so there's one place to go where everything is, and the name's in the clue. School. It isn't spelt the way that we normally do it, but there we go. But it's the people that are in there said, "This is great. You've put so much in there." Good, and it's not the end. I'm putting a lot more in there as well too. This video was created by somebody who was sort of saying, well, it was my friend Bob, actually, Bob Dean. Said he got up a few days ago and he was going to do all these things and look at all these files and things, and he was going to waste the day looking at all adverts and things in the past from businesses that we've been in that failed. Then all of a sudden it hit him. Why am I wasting my time doing this when I could be getting on with my copy and paste business? So he just decided to scrap all that and leave the past where it belongs, in the past. And he's had a very productive week. Well, thanks, Bob. And I said, do you know what? I'm going to make a video about that. I ought to make a video about why we live in the past. It's holding us back. We shouldn't be doing it. So if you're not already in My Quiet Solution, this is simple home-based business, get back to the person that showed you this video and ask them to see a presentation of it. And because I've got another video, and ask them to see a presentation of the copy and paste ads as well, because I tell you, for under £100, 129 one time only, it will give you all the things you possibly want in life. I mean, how many of those do you want? I don't know how many. Loads, and what you do is what you get back as well. I mean, I had a surprise the other week. I had 4 in a day. I wasn't expecting 4 people in one day to join. I was sitting at home. That's lovely. $400 is £300. So if you're not already in My Quiet Solution, which could become your quiet solution, get back to the person that showed you this video and ask them for the presentation. Okay, anyway, thank you very much. I hope this information has been of help to you, and I hope you draw a line about it and move forward, because you deserve to. Okay, thanks very much. Bye-bye.